good, beautiful morning from Western Pennsylvania. I love, well, except for the hills and some other fuel prices, I love Western Pennsylvania. But to the new subscribers, welcome in. To the usual suspects, welcome back. And we will start out with a statement just to get everybody on the same page. You might be having a bad day. You might be having a bad week. Or you might be having the worst month you've had stress-wise in trucking in a very long time. But you're not having a bad life. And so you're just not going to hear me get all downtrodden, but I am going to go through some of the struggles of June and talk to you about the greatness of July, because it happens to be the month I was born, so I'm pretty partial to it. But when I last left you guys, we were heading back to Houston to drop that load out of Albuquerque, and you know, the load over to Tucson, the deadhead sucked, but I got the good load in Houston. It actually turned out to be a very salvageable week. Other than, like I said, that deadhead, it actually paid, both of them paid very decent, and we had a good week. But I started out the month of July having to do the registration on the truck, which I told you about, which was about $400 more than normal. And then we had the ginormous insurance debacle after I'd been home for 10 days because of all the birthdays. And I finally thought that things were going to be getting back to normal. And of course, that's not the way it happened. So somebody even made a comment. We were still dealing with insurance issues well after the Albuquerque load. So we finally have gotten those handled. But I delivered that load to Houston. And I said, you know what? I ran my hours all kind of funky. And basically, I had 6 hours between a Thursday and a Friday. So I said, you know what? It was Wednesday when I delivered that. So I said, you know what? It's Wednesday. I'll drive home. I did 887 miles that day. I'll drive home, I'll take a 34, and I'll find a load out of Dallas on Friday. I wasn't going home for a long time. Well, I got home Wednesday, and I woke up in the middle of the night going into Thursday with sore throat and body aches, and I felt terrible. But you know what? I'm on a 34. I was like, I'll get rested. We'll get better. Things will be fine. So I got up Friday, and I didn't feel fantastic, but it still didn't feel great. I was like, you know what? I've committed to this load. It was going from Dallas to New Jersey. I was like, you know what? We're getting back out on the road. Got to the truck about 7:30. I couldn't pick it up till 9 o'clock. And 7:34, the broker called, and the customer canceled the load. And now, while normally that would be a you got jammed moment, that was a thank you, Jesus moment. Because as I sat there that morning, I slowly started feeling worse and worse. And I spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday basically in bed. I don't know what the funk was. I probably still sound a little congested. I'm over it. I feel great now. But that was another 5 days. And I found a load on Monday, but June was just terrible. I had planned to run the entire month of June. But except for my inability to read a calendar, the insurance issues, and getting sick, I did not run that much. That is why reserves are so imperative. Shout out to Lone Mountain. They get all the hate, but they're like, why do they want to see the reserves? They want to see the reserves because stuff like this happens and you still have a truck payment. So we're fine financially, but emotionally, mentally, physically, that was the hardest month I have had in a long time. But I got up Monday. Yes, it was still June 30th, but I counted it as July. And I actually left with a smile on my face because I'm like, all right, you know, we made it through. We persevered. We got through June, and we're into July. And so I took a load out of Austin, and it went up to, like I said, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Delivered that great paying load. It was one of those moving company loads. And I was like, all right, so where can we run? We need to run a long run over 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to my viewers that applies to. I was like, all right, that's what we're going to do. We're going to run, we're going to run, we're going to run. And I kept finding loads, but they were all pick up Thursday, deliver Monday, and they weren't going anywhere. So there was no money really to be made. And I was like, well, this sucks, man. And I have an ace in my pocket that we'll talk about in a second. But the only decent load that I could find was going from right over here outside of Cleveland, about 80-mile bounce, nothing major, going to Houston, Texas. But I made sure and verified numerous times that this load delivers Saturday. So we're gonna make about $2,500 on a load that picks up on Thursday, delivers on Saturday, and I've already found my reload coming out of Dallas. So even though it was not in the intentions and not the plans, we're going back home for a 34. So I think, and I like this way of running when it works out, and it does not often work out, where kind of like the old TMC days. I left Monday, I'll be back Saturday, and I'll leave Monday. Rather than being gone for 2-3 weeks at a time, getting to the house for resets, getting my truck restocked with getting it restocked with food and stuff is really, really nice. So we are going to pick up this trailer. We are going to drive super early because the nuts balls on the road on 4th of July is not something I'm looking to. And I'm going to give you guys a shout out and tell you why you were also right that I was wrong. Because one of the aces in my pocket is I am now officially, I have done all the onboarding, I've watched all the videos, yada, yada, yada. I am signed up with the old Amazon. And while their rates are way worse than I thought, I guess I just misunderstood because I see all the videos and all the people that do it. The rates were like, oh my gosh, terrible around here. But I can always find a load. And my load Monday is not an Amazon load. Let me go ahead and say that. But what I did notice was there was a really good load that I was looking at, ended up not having the hours, that was going to Bismarck, North Dakota. I was like, well, I'm not going to run, and it delivered on Saturday, same thing. I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to be in North Dakota on Saturday and be in the same situation when we went out to Tucson where I can't find a reload. But you know who has reloads in Bismarck, North Dakota? Amazon. Going to a good area. And for $1.60 a mile to get out of a bad area, that was one of the good loads that I saw. Sad that is a good load, I know. But I think we have the option, especially as big a hub as Dallas is we now have the option to get home for these weekends because we now know we can get out. And that is the most imperative thing to me, is just getting out of Dallas. Because, you know, it's the big hamster wheel that when you get out of Dallas and you get out here into the Midwest and even some loads out west, you can kind of run. There's just always, you know, I've got my little tracks and places that I know. And now I have just one more ace in the pocket. Because I'll tell you a funny story. I thought that was going to be JB Hunt. But when I was out there having the insurance problems, there was a load out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I was 13 miles away. And I said, hey, I can do this. And said, all right, well, it's a drop trailer, so you have to go get a trailer. And the closest trailer is 235 miles away. So I just spent about 450 miles going to get a trailer to go do a load that was 13 miles from where I was at. I don't know if that's paid. You guys who do JB Hunt can tell you if they pay you to go that far. I don't know if they do or they don't. But with these drop trailers with Amazon, again, I don't have that issue. So I'm excited to have that ace in this hole. I am not going full-time dedicated Amazon. I don't know that that's what I want to do. But I wanted to give you guys an update video to say thank God June is over. We're going to be running hard in July. But it just so hadn't worked out that I'm going to get to go home. So how about that? So I'm going to get through lovely Western Pennsylvania. I'm about to cross into Ohio here shortly. It'll probably be a way station, so I should probably turn the camera off. But I want to give you guys that update. We'll have another video next week, but June is over. July is going to be a great month. I can't wait. We'll talk to you soon. God bless, and let's get rolling.